Okay, so today I'm gonna go through and build a scene, and we're gonna use Megascans today to build a product shot. We're gonna make it this cool desert Arizona style environment. I already have some of them selected. I've already downloaded them previously, but I'm gonna start over from scratch to build out this shot. So I'm gonna go over here to my purchased items and we're going to plug it. So I also downloaded the add-on for Blender so that it's pretty seamless to download these assets and bring them straight into Blender. So once they're downloaded, I get this other button that says export, and I already have my settings set up over here. So if I go to download settings and export settings, it's set to Blender. And then I'll show you guys my download settings, and I already have all my maps set up right for Blender. So once that's set up and you've set up this Megascans plugin for Blender or any other software, it makes it pretty seamless to download assets off of Megascans and using Quixel Bridge. So again, I already have it downloaded. I'm gonna hit export, and this is automatically going to get imported into Blender. So we're gonna have that one, and then we're going to select another. So I'm going to select this one also and hit export. We got some textures converting, so we're going to click that one. So that one's going also. And then we're going to also use some plants, maybe some rocks too, but we're going to hold off on the rocks. So let's go to our plants here, and I'll hit export. Cool. I think that's it. So we have those three items, and we're going to start off with these to build our set and product. And so we also have to import our product. So we're going to switch over to Blender, see everything that's coming in. Okay, so once we have all of our elements imported, right, we have our ground, we have our rock face, and then we have some plants. And in the plants, they actually import as a lot of different variations of the plant. So I will get to those eventually to figure out which one I want to use in my final scene. But for now, let me just turn off the majority of them and just probably leave one on. So we'll just go down just like that. And we'll find a high detailed one. So we'll just go with this one for now. Let me turn off these cameras so it doesn't render also. Okay, so again, here's my template layers. Our collections. I'm going to get rid of all these, and we're starting off with a scene called assets here. So I'm going to rename this at the top right, because this is where I'm dropping all my assets to prep for my shot. Okay, so now we're going to set up another scene and start bringing in our assets into a shot. So we're going to go over here to the top right, and I'm going to go full copy so that my render settings come along with it. And then I'm going to turn everything on and then rename this to shot 0100. And I'm going to select everything and delete. Meaning that it's because I'm going to delete these collections also. And the reason I'm doing this is because I already have my assets here, and I want to in the asset scene, and I want to import everything as a collection instance. So I'm going to bring in my gravel, I'm going to bring in my plants, and I'm going to bring in my rock face. And these are all coming in as collection instances or references. So it optimizes your file so it's not a super heavy file. We're not duplicating geometry. They're like what you call proxies. Okay, so let's hide our plant, and then I'm going to leave the gravel on, and then I'm going to drop a camera. So we're going to make a camera. Pull it back. We're going to set up our camera properly, how we want to set up our shot. So 0, 0, 0. Put this at 90 degrees. So we're going to look through the camera. I'm going to make 2 windows, and I'm going to start hiding everything in this screen. And then just set this off, and then select our camera, which it's already selected. You guys have seen me do this multiple times of how I set up my shots. I'm going to go set this to full 1, and then I want my camera to be a full frame. I'm going to zoom back in. We're going to frame our shot. I'm going to do a square frame. So format 1920 by 1920. And then from here, I'm going to go back to my camera and let's see what our focal length. So I'm going to go 135. All right, so let's start setting up our windows. Then come out. So we're going to move the camera up. Go to my top view. Just going to start pulling it back. And then we're going to just start arranging the shot from here. So now I want my camera to go up some more. Okay. And so now I'm thinking that I might need to add like a product in this shot too. Like a proxy just to hold position so that I can frame everything that I want properly. So let's go back over here and we'll just start blocking stuff out. So I want like some layers happening in this as I build it. So I'm going to duplicate this rock face so that we can create a little bit of a layering in the shot. And so maybe something like this will be cool, but I always got to remember I want the product kind of in the center. So let's take this and go this direction. I like that. Maybe scale it down. Scale it down some more. Let's go to our front view. All right, we can stay on the left view. Move it down a little bit. That's nice. And then we can start bringing this back in. Shifting it. See what that looks like. Okay, so I can see duplicate spots. I don't want that happening. So maybe we could do something like this where I have this rock face here. And then we can duplicate it again. And then I have another rock face over here. Like that. So now we have like this layering effect. Or something like that too. So let's start with that. So I'm going to start with this. Let's create our background. So I'm going to create a plane. I'm going to put it way back because I don't like any kind of lighting that's hitting the background to affect my shot. So we're going to rotate it up 90 degrees. We're going to scale it up till it fills our entire frame. Bring it up. And then I also just want to make sure that I bring these points up a little bit to where they start to get cut off because I want a gradient to fill the entire plane. All right, so that's our plane. And from here, let me just start. Should I drop in a product first or should I work on the background gradient? I think I'm going to do the background gradient. And matter of fact, now that I'm looking at this, I'm probably going to raise this a little bit. See how much room we got. Yeah, I'm going to raise this a little bit like that. I like that. And then I wonder if I could scoot these back just a tad bit too. So everything is starting to fall together as I just work through it. I want a little bit of foreground. Okay. So that's looking good. Okay. So let me start on the background. I'm going to hit render. And then from here, I'm going to set up my background. So we're going to go to shader editor. I know that my background is some, okay, there's the plane. And then I'm going to make a new material. I'm going to use emissive. And then we're going to drag it up here. So now we got that lit. Okay. And then when I want to create a gradient with this background, so we're going to use a ramp. And that's going to connect to here. And then also a gradient texture. And that's going to connect here. And then we're going to bring up our texture coordinates by pressing Control T, as long as you have Node Wrangler installed. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. All right, so I need to fix this. There's a little bit of the background showing up here, but we can fix that. Okay, so I'm gonna give this background a little bit of color. So we're gonna just start off with the like a orangish red. So I'm gonna go something like here in this area. That's like a Arizona color. And then I'm gonna take this over here, same thing. Maybe I'll have some yellow to it like that. And then we're gonna take the value and bring it down just a tad bit. Oh, I'm sorry, the saturation. Let's take the saturation down a little bit. And we're gonna go with something like that. Okay, so we're gonna start with a background like that. Let's take my camera. We already have depth of field on. I'm gonna turn it off for now. Keep everything pretty sharp. Okay, so now I wanna add, let's just add a simple light just to start off, and then we'll add a model in here as our product for our placeholder. So I'm gonna just start off with a simple area light, drop it in, and then just raise it up. So we'll just start off with this first. Okay, so this is what our scene's looking like so far. Pretty cool. And I want to add some plants in eventually too to dress up the scene. All right, so I'm gonna go back over to my assets and I'm gonna start bringing in a model. I think I'm gonna go with the Super Nintendo controller. Matter of fact, because nostalgia, right? I grew up in the age of Super Nintendo, but again, the alpha map is messed up on it. You'll see when I show you, but the majority of it's done. So here it is. It's not the original purple and light purple one. It's the one that had the colored buttons. So I don't know if you guys remember this one. This one was pretty cool. I actually had this one. And I had the purple one, of course, too. But this is the Super Nintendo controller for those of you who have not played it. If you grew up, if you're an 80s baby, most likely you played Super Nintendo growing up. All right, so I'm going to go back to my shot. Go to my camera. We're going to render. And we're going to go collection instance. I'm just typing in instance. Oops. Instance. Actually, just go like this. Collection instance and Super Nintendo controller. All right, so it's in. All right, so it's pretty small to the shot, and that's okay. We could just scale it up because we're just creating a cool product shot. So we're not worried about scale for this shot. We're worried about the composition more than anything of how the shot is coming together. So I'm going to scale it up, maybe just a little bit more. And then I'm going to go to side view and place this controller properly. So let's go to our left view. I'm going to tilt it back a little bit too, because the way these things were designed had an angle so that I can pick up light. And then we're going to set it back here on the rocks, maybe like that. Let's see how it intersects with the rocks. Or we can have it floating. I think I'm going to do a floating type deal. Maybe we'll set it kind of at an angle too. All right. Cool. Super Nintendo, man. I love Super Nintendo. It was awesome growing up. What was your guys' favorite Super Nintendo game? I really loved Mortal Kombat 3 or Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Killer Instinct, of course, Super Mario World, Mario All Stars. What else was there? Oh, Lost Vikings. That was a great game. I had all those games. Me and my neighborhood friends would play these games all the time. Okay, so that's our controller. Let's start with this placement, and let's play with some lighting now. So I'm gonna delete this, and then now I'm gonna use Light Wrangler. I've mentioned that plenty of times, Light Wrangler, and I'm gonna start lighting this product shot / also lighting the set, right? So I'm gonna focus on the product first. So I'm gonna add a light, just finding something that I could start with. How can we get some good highlights? Okay, so I'm gonna press 2. I'm gonna start rotating the light around the object, and then see size, distance, hold Alt, and scroll the wheel. Let's make it brighter. Okay, I want to change the size of the light, and then the spread also to be right on the controller. Kind of just spotlight the controller. All right. There we go. That's what I want. Okay, so now I want to get it right on the controller like a spot. So I can just highlight this area. So I'm going to open up the spread a little bit more and then shrink the light again. So I'm just dragging my mouse wheel while I'm holding shift. Those are the directions on the bottom left. And then bring the brightness down some. Cool. I really like this style. So let's go left, right, maybe right, left, see what this looks like. Okay. I think I'm gonna go with something like this overhead, maybe. Yeah, I like this overhead look. And then we're gonna just bring the distance closer and then the size up just a tad. And then I might have a little bit of shadow on the edges of it and then just bring the brightness down. Just like that. I like this look. Let's see, right. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay. All right, so let's add another light. Matter of fact, since I have this light selected, I'm gonna go to light operations. And this is part of Node Wrangler again. I'm gonna duplicate it. And then this time I'm gonna put the light on the back side. See if I can get a little bit of rim on the left. Just like that. Okay. So this is looking nice. I'm gonna press 1. Okay. Oh, F9. Oops, something's happening. Oh, did something wrong. All right, so let me select my light again. And then light operations. Oops, thing is acting up on me. All right, one more time. Light operations, duplicate. All right, and then we're gonna get a rim light on here. Let's work on this rim. Just like that. I wanna see what it looks like underneath too. Take the brightness down. See right there. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. Ooh, there we go. I like that highlight right there. So that's another highlight. I want to do another one. So we're gonna light operations, duplicate. So just like what we were doing with the PlayStation controller when I was showing you guys like how to light black objects, I'm really trying to again show the shape of this item, right? I'm trying to define the shape. I don't want you just to see the face. I want you to feel like you should be able to like, here's a funny thing to say. I heard this like a couple weeks, no, maybe like a long time, not a long time ago, but at some point this year, you can look at anything in your room and you know how it feels like in your mouth. That's because when we grew up as babies, we put everything in our mouths, right? And we also know what everything feels like in our hands, just looking at photos too, for the most part. So when creating these images, you want to be able to tell the consumer what this item feels like in their hands without even having it in their possession. So that's why you want to really try to define these shapes as you're lighting it. You don't want to just show the cool parts and that's it. You also want to really define the shape of the item so that the customer or whoever they're marketing these items to can feel it in their hands, right? Because they can't get these items yet, right? Let's say it's an item that has not been released. So your best way to show the customers through images, videos, and you want to really define everything in the shot. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish here as I'm going through and lighting these items. So again, I'm trying to figure out how to define the shape on the bottom. So I'm bringing the lighting down and I really want to show these highlights off, right? So something like that may work. I'm getting a little bit of highlight here. I'm adding some kicker on the bottom. Okay, so now we're starting to get the full shape of this item. Okay, so I'm going to stop here when it comes to the controller. And now I'm going to go and start working on the set. Okay, so now we got the product lit, but now we have to also show off this set that we created. Okay, so again, I'm going to press F9. Now I got a new light in my scene, and now I'm working on my set. Okay, so I'm dragging the light around on my set, right, and kind of like I'm respecting those basic art rules, right? Things in the foreground tend to get darker as things recede, they get lighter. So what I want is to create a pull into the shot. So the items in the foreground, right? I could start off with a light here in the foreground if I want, right? However, I want that light to not be so strong. Okay. So I want to make sure I show all this cool detail, right? But I don't want you to be distracted by it at the same time. So I could probably call this like my buddy gave me some good tips on lighting not too long ago. He calls it like a motivated light. So although we have this light on the controller, right? So we create another light coming from the same direction. We can call that what he calls is a motivated light, to create light coming from that same direction. So this light's actually going crazy on me right now though. All right, so there we go, right there. Okay, so let me bring the brightness down on it. We'll stop right about there. And then I'm gonna create another light, duplicate it. I'm gonna drag it back here on the set. Okay, and then I'm gonna start, go front view, and I'm gonna just kind of just drag it around, see what happens. And we're kind of sticking to that same direction of where our light's coming from. And so let's turn up the brightness. Let's go 16, go something crazy. Yeah, so that's nice. Cool. So look how this is coming together, right? I love how this is coming together. A lot of shadows. I like shadows in my shots for some reason. I like high contrast stuff. But also I want to add a little bit of kicker right here. Okay, so I'm going to add a kicker. I'm going to add a kicker to this area, this shadow area. So I'm going to press F9 again, and then make sure my light starts hitting in that area. And then I'm just going to drag it down. Go up just a tad, brighten it up. Okay, that's nice. And back down. Boom, right there. Okay. And then something like this, I could probably maybe add a light right here. Maybe I will. But I like that shadow too. Thinking in my head, maybe I'll add a plant to fill that area too. So I'm going to hold off on that area, and then I'm going to first add some plants in. So we're at a good point right now where it's like, okay, this shot's coming together pretty well. And mind you, we still have the power of post-production to take things further. So once I render this out, I can go in and create crypto mats and bring it into Natron and really bring the focus in on this controller in post-production, right? We want to get it to a point where we have a great shot, great lighting, and then we can take it that extra step in post-production. So now I'm going to bring those plants in. So where's our plants? Here we go. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Cool. So there's one plant, and all I'm going to do is simply just start dragging it around. So I want to fill in this shadow area with a plant. And again, we could scale. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Cool. Scale it. And look how it just fills the left part of that frame nicely. See that? And then I'll probably add another back here just to break up that horizon line. So I'm just going to bring it up so that we can start seeing it. It's actually out of frame. So let's take it this way. All right. So I don't want too much. I just want a little bit. So I can just bring it back down just so it's poking out. And it's just drawing our eye to break up that horizon area. And then go back to my front. Maybe add another one over here just to break it up some more. Just a tad bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. Just, we don't have to show off the whole model. I know sometimes us as CG artists, we want to show off the whole model, but that's not the point. The point is to make a great composition. So I'm just going to do that. And I like how this point right here kind of rolls you into the shot. All right. And then I'm going to copy another into the foreground. So one more, and we're going to just drop it here in the foreground area in the ground, just like that. And then kind of move it out of the shot. Then bring it forward. And I can bring it forward a lot. See, look, I can bring it forward so much to where it gets in shadow, right? Because it's a foreground item, right? We want a little bit of shadow, darkness in that foreground to draw us into the shot. It creates that depth, right? And so I can bring it down a little bit. Just like that. And then I'm going to try adding one more to the left of the frame. So we're just going to bring it over here like this, just a tad bit. And I can probably even bring this one closer to the camera. So I'm going to bring it this direction and then bring it up. And then I want to create like a height difference. So maybe I can bring it up just a little bit more, create that height difference. And also do some other things with depth of field. Cool. So look at that. We've filled in our shot with some plants, right? And then I can add some other variation of plants if I wanted to also. All right, what should we do next? So next thing I'm going to do is play with my camera a little bit. So let's go back to our camera and I'm going to turn on my depth of field and I have to create a focus point. So as I've shown in different videos, I use a empty and plain access, and then I call this focus point, right? And then I can go back to my camera and then set that to the focus point. Okay, and then go back here, and then I can align this to my controller. So I can align this to my controller. So I select the focus point first, and then select the controller, and then go align tools, and then I can hit this all align location. I hit all, so that's the XYZ. So now I align my focus point to my controller to the center. And this tool right here, Align Tools, this is a Blender add-on. It's in the Blender add-ons by default. So you don't have to go to the Blender market to find it. You can just go to your preferences, add-ons, and search it up, Align Tools. And then now you can simply align things easier and faster with this tool. Okay, so that's our focus point. We're focused on the controller, right? And so now you can see that, you know, these foreground objects are blurry, and then it's focused on the controller, and these background elements are blurry. Okay, but it's a little bit too much depth of field. I'm gonna pull back on it, so I'm gonna change it to like 4. That's feeling a lot better because I'm also still capturing detail but keeping the focus on the controller. And then as things go away from the product, they blur out a little bit. So I'm liking that. Okay, so we're at a point right now where this controller is in a really, really good place for a product shot, right? Now I can start going back and working on my lighting again. I can assess things. Okay, maybe I want to try a different product, right? There was really no aim as to what I'm doing with this shot and what kind of product I'm shooting. But, you know, with that being said, this may be a template set, right? So maybe I created this set that's just a template and I can use it for multiple product shots, right? So now the fact that I made this, I can go in and start setting this up for a template, right? So we had our controller here, right? We lit this controller originally, and I can start turning off the lights for the controller, right? So this is a kicker light on the controller. Turn that. This is okay. So here's our set light. So we got this one, and then the overhead. Okay, so there's the overhead. So now I'm going to start turning my lights back on. So we got that light. That's a set light. That's another set light. And that's another set light. And now we're starting to hit the controller. Okay, so these are our set lights that are just on right now, right? And so now I got this template for my set, right? I can get rid of this controller and I can start bringing in some other products, right? So let's try another product, right? So now that we got this set built, let me just bring in another product. So I'm going to go back. Let's turn off our render right now. And then we're going to go to assets. So we'll bring in the Microsoft Surface Pro. All right. So I got that in. I'm going to switch over to my set, shot 100, go to our camera, collection instance, Microsoft Surface Pro. And we're going to bring it up. It's probably going to be small, so we're going to have to scale it up. Let's start rendering first and see what we get. And here we are. So here's our Pro, Microsoft Surface Pro. So let's just make this frame just a little bit bigger so we can see. Okay, so it's kind of small, right? We want the focus to be on the product. Oops, wrong thing. We're going to select the Pro. We're going to scale that up, right? And we're going to just do something a little bit more dynamic, right? We want to see that keyboard, so we can just kind of free rotate this product around. So maybe something like this, right? We want to show off this product, right? So look at it. We're just adding different products into our shot, testing it out, seeing what it looks like. Pull it back a little bit, put it over the rock face, right? And then I can try just testing it out. I know these lights are not specific to the surface, but we can just see what happens, right? So that's a little bit too strong, right? That's nice. Little kicker on that keyboard, all right? And so something that I would do for this Surface Pro is creating like a reflection just to show off this glass, this really nice glass on the Surface Pro. And so like that's something I would do if I was really light in this shot. So like if I was to go free rotate and rotate it toward the light. So like that's the type of reflection that I would try to get on the glass, like maybe just a corner, just to show that this surface is reflective. However, I would not do it like this, right? It would be specific to the angle that I had before. So again, like this is just testing out the set, right? Dropping in different elements just to see what they look like, right? So we got this in here. I can hide this now, turn off this, and then turn this one on, right? And we could turn the lights back on, okay? And then we could try other products, right? So I can bring the tape machine in. So let's bring the tape machine in. So the tape machine is here. All right. So we'll go back to our shot. See, look how simple this is, right? You can create, I mean, like 2-3 sets a day with just Megascans, right? Searching through the Megascans library and just playing around, looking up reference images. You could build sets, right, for clients. Okay, so I'm gonna hide this controller. Go to my camera, collection instances, tape machine. So there's our tape machine. Go to a side view. We're gonna put it on the rocks, just like that. And then hit render. Okay, this is probably gonna be a tough one because it's actually more of a flat surface, the front of it. So you're probably not, it's gonna be hard to read, but that's okay. We're just testing it out. Okay, so we want it, I'm gonna bring it back just a little bit. So I'm gonna bring it back here and put it on this surface. So just like that kind of sits it down. So this is pretty cool. So this could be like a cool little album cover if I want to, you know, as I've said before. And if you guys see in my older videos, I posted a lot of beat videos. I make beats too. So this would be a cool like album cover to make for something. Maybe I should do that. I should do a video where I create an album cover for my new beat project. I got some beats sitting waiting to go. But anyway, again, like this is another test, right? We drop in the tape machine just to see what this would look like in the shot. And it's looking very cool. Like this is a shot like I could just do as something like for fun. I love this. I love how this is looking, right? I think I would just add like the lighting would need to be worked on for this tape machine. But again, yeah, so that's it. I mean, I just wanted to show you guys how to create a nice little set, you know, add product in, dress it a little bit with some plants, using some natural elements. Megascans is a really, really good resource for this, using Quixel Bridge and then bridging that into Blender and any other software that you use, right? And again, it's just following those same steps that I've used for other projects, you know, and lighting the product, right? Again, like I said, you really want the customer to feel the shape of that product. So how can you light it in such a way where you understand the volume of that product, right? So that's it today. Maybe I'll do another video of this set where we're doing some post-production in it also to take it to that next step. And I'm thinking either using Adobe Camera Raw or Natron, but I'm leaning more towards Camera Raw since I have not talked about Camera Raw and working more of like a traditional photography workflow, right? Instead of going into compositing and doing all those elements, instead try to get everything in 3D and do that last finishing touch in Adobe Bridge. So Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching the video. I'll catch you guys on the next one.